You're listening to Living Millennial Podcast, a podcast that features and celebrates Black millennials doing amazing things in industries that they're in. We'll tap into all things trending and some that aren't. Let's get deep fast. Hey, y'all, welcome back to Living Millennial. This is Brittany.
Hey, it's Mandisa.
And we have some special friends with us today. We have Janelle and MB from Being Becoming Podcast. Hey, Queens.
Hey.
What's up, y'all?
Yes, what's up? What's up? So first of all, for anybody who's listening in, welcome back, or just plain old welcome. We certainly appreciate y'all for being here. Living Millennial Podcast celebrates and highlights the diversity within the Black millennial community. And we always have amazing and dope guests. And I like to share this space and give our guests the chance to brag about themselves, right? And tell us all the dope things that they are doing in their lives. So, Jenna, let's start with you, Queen. What you got going on? Tell our audience all about you.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Janelle. I am from St. Louis, Missouri. I am a health and PE teacher for high school. So I love my teenagers. They can be a headache sometimes, but I still love them. Mm-hmm. Anything else about me? I love makeup. That is like one of my favorite things to do. I'm very creative, very artistic. I am a straight shooter, you guys. So that means I believe in being hot, which is honest, open, and transparent. I don't do no mixes, y'all. Y'all gonna hear it, y'all gonna see it, and y'all gonna feel it, okay? And that's on period. But I am a co-host on Being Becoming the Podcast with my girl MB. She's here as well. We've been friends for a very, very long time. Went to the University of Kentucky together. So it's always good. And thank you, ladies, for having me here on the show.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to hear all the straight shots you got for us later in this conversation. We're excited. And I know the audience is excited as well. MB, tell us about you.
So, hey, you guys. My name is MB. I am the other half of Becoming the Podcast with Janelle, my girl. Like she said, we've been friends for a long time. Go all the way back to beginning days of college, like day one. And I can definitely second that she is a straight shooter. Like she's gonna tell you how it is. I'm more of the like chill back, relaxed friends. Sometimes people call me kind of mom-ish a little bit, but you know, I'm always there to have a good time. But anyway, a little bit about me. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, but originally from Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm a real estate agent. I'm a realtor. I love helping people achieve their dreams and finding their dream home. But my passion project is, podcasting. So Becoming the Podcast, that's why we started it, to help, millennials and help other people who want to, become the best version of themselves. And that's what we just leave it at.
Yes, I'm here for the A1 since day one vibes.
Same. I kind of want to hear y'all's story of meeting because Mandisa and myself, and even Jamal, who was on our previous seasons, we have an interesting story. But I feel like y'all have a pretty dope story too. So give us a little bit of that, how y'all met.
Go ahead and tell it, MB.
I'm gonna start it and I'm gonna let her pick up because I want her to put her flavor and her twist on it. So you guys, we met over food, which we both love. We met over some good old home Southern cooking. Your girl was an RA in college, so you know that RA lifestyle. I was sitting at desk, bored. We had really long shifts. I think I had to be there for like 6 hours at a time. And you'd be seeing people walk by and just check in, but you'd be like on your laptop or doing whatever. My girl Janelle, this is our first time meeting, you guys. Like we had seen each other, within the halls and things, but we never had like an actual conversation. She comes to the desk and is like, "You want some food? I'm cooking." Girl brought me cornbread, fried chicken, greens, mac and cheese. And we have been friends ever since. Didn't ask for nothing. Wow. Like was just cooking and was like, "Hey, you want a plate?" So we've been friends ever since.
Let me just say that the fact
Yes.
that she was cooking, that you, Janelle, were cooking, not like, let me bring you a plate from the cafeteria. I made this. Wow, that's beautiful.
That's pretty
Yes. That's pretty much what happened, y'all. And I do like to cook. As y'all can see, my last name is Cook. And I really do have that gene. I really do. I can really cook.
She does.
I can cook. It be knows. Anything you want me to try, I can. All right, I got you. Say no more.
Yes.
Say no more. It's a custom. You know, I do all my friends with a custom. No matter where I am. You know what? I didn't make cookies when I went to Atlanta, MB. I'm so sorry. That's my whole thing. Like, no matter what or who comes over, I will always have like fresh baked cookies for you. Always.
She does.
That's one. I was just about to ask. Now you cook, and I was just about to ask if you baked, if you dabbled in both worlds.
Yes, I love baking. That's like my favorite.
I'm here for it. I want you to connect with my brother because he's the chef in the house. I pull up with a plate like that's.
Say no more. I got
you ready to eat.
I'll whip something up for you.
I'm here for it. I went to the wrong school now.
Girl,
it's microwave.
It's crazy. If you ask any of our friends from like even that year or just college, like we were always known as the people, like we would literally sit up in the halls. Like when we weren't doing anything, usually people would go out, whatever. We were in the halls. We were in there cooking a plate. We cooked fried chicken sometimes, cooked tacos. We cooked a whole Thanksgiving dinner for everyone in our hall.
Yes, we did.
And people still remember it to this day.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's love.
That is big love.
So, yeah.
That's big love. Well, that's amazing. We love food at Living Millennial Podcast, and we also love friendship. You guys are providing us with food and friendship already.
The two F's.
Friendship and fellowship, okay?
Yes, fellowship.
This is what I tell people. Once you break bread, we family.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. We're family at that point.
Yes. I love that. I didn't like any of my RAs in school. So I love that you were like, can I feed you? Because all of our RAs would have been scared to eat anything we was giving them.
I'm telling you, I like to think of myself, I was the cool RA. Like I let a few things slide here and there because I was like, I understand, but I'm gonna need you to get it together because it's not about to fall back on me. So
that part.
That whole part. All right, y'all. Well, we're ready for our first segment. Mandisa, what do you have for us, my love?
All right. Let's get into word of the day, y'all. So whether this is your first time with us or this is a return listen for you, word of the day, how this goes, I'm going to give you the word. I'm going to give you the definition. Today, I'm going to even put it in a sentence. I don't always do that, but I'm going to put it in a sentence today. And the goal is that each of us use this at least once throughout our discussion. So get your notepads and your pens and pencils, your app, whatever. Hey, post it, Brittany. Thank you. That's for my heart right there. And tally it up and see how many times we use this throughout the episode. Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Today's word of the day is serendipitous. Serendipitous. It's an adjective, and I'm going to spell it because I know Brittany likes it when I spell it. SERENDIPITOUS. Serendipitous. It means occurring or discovered by chance in a happy or beneficial way. So we've all experienced a serendipitous moment of receiving information just when we were least expecting it, but needed it most. Serendipitous.
That's beautiful, friend.
Thank you. Thank you. It came to my mind and I was like, yes, perfect.
I feel like it's the perfect word for this episode too. I feel like it's going to come up a lot. My wheels are turning.
I love it.
You hear me? My mind is shifting.
And we already kind of started off with the serendipitous story, right?
Yep.
So does that count as my one?
I think so. Go ahead and take that tally, girl.
Because later on I will forget, girl. I will forget. But here's one thing I did not forget. So I hope y'all wrote that down. Y'all got that going. Mandisa, I am not going to ask you to say the definition again because you've given us enough. But normally that's what I have her do all kind of things a good couple times. But Here's what I did not forget. I didn't forget the game segment, queen.
Oh, come on with it. Come on with it.
It is game time. Our listeners know we love games. We love a game. All the games.
All the games.
However, song association is that game for us.
Yeah.
All right. So this is how it's going to go this episode. Song association, for those who do not know, I will give a word, 4 words in total, but I will give a word, and it is up to these queens here to sing a song that has the word in the song or the title. I will give you all a total of 10 seconds.
Okay.
And it is okay to work together. Y'all can work together.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Y'all.
It's not a competition completely. But that is how the game goes. And feel free to sing as you sing, belch, all the things. Like, just get it going, you know, allow the you could take a little break and give yourself a little warm up, you know. That is A-okay. All right, y'all ready for the first word?
I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
I appreciate that.
You know what? Nervous is still ready. You're absolutely right. Those two things can exist at once. So let's get it. All right. The first word is bird.
Is the word. Is that even a real song?
Okay. It is.
Does that count?
You sang it a little different than I heard
Fly like a bird. I want to fly away.
Hey, I don't know where my home is. That's what I had in mind. I like that.
Oh, okay.
It took a minute though. I was sitting there like,
Bird.
Okay.
You sent me, I ain't gonna lie, I was like,
yeah, the show is birds.
right.
bird.
They there?
All right, let me give y'all one more. I was waiting for somebody to sing this one. Pretty little birds, pretty little birds. There's a
Oh, you know what? I'm mad at her. That's why, because she's been telling us she about to come out with an album for like 4 years now, and I'm like, bye.
Well, she just did a kind of live performance, so she giving us a little song.
A little
That's a
song.
little song. Okay. Are y'all ready for the next word?
Okay.
Now I'm kind of nervous.
And you made it under 10 seconds, y'all. So that was good. All right.
Okay.
So the next word is win.
All I do is win, no matter what. Yeah.
Got money on my mind. I can never get enough. Okay.
Yes.
There we go.
For a collective win.
Right.
Okay.
I was not gonna think of another one.
That's the only one I had in mind for y'all too. So
Yeah,
great
okay.
job. All right, are we ready for the next word?
Ooh.
The next word is me.
Me.
Me, myself, and I. Beyonce.
That's all I got.
All
in
it
the
is
end. That's what I found out.
And it ain't no need to cry.
Cause I like some. I'm gonna be my own best friend.
Hey, me, myself, and I. That's what I got. Okay. All right. You see? That's good.
I had a title on my head.
Yes.
Thank you, choir. Thank you, choir.
Right.
Got it.
Great background over
Got
here.
it.
What happens when we work together? Alrighty.
Okay.
The very last word. Time.
Time.
For the first
Oh,
time. Sorry. I was thinking
I
eye to eye.
had time on my hands. I don't know the rest of the and something else.
I ain't got no plans. No. Girl, listen. Ooh, look at this hair.
I'm going down.
Ooh, okay. I think we ready for karaoke.
Here's the thing. If there has ever been, look at me. This is what that
She got
song
you.
do to me. If
She
there's
got
ever
you.
a song, whoo, that don't ask me why at a young age I felt that song, but there's ever a song I felt, that was it. Go ahead, Barry. Well, the when she did the remake, but thank you, that was beautiful.
Girl, do we need to sign you back up for choir? I think
Girl, I'm
Ooh,
done.
she said back
Backup. That means you got a history.
You
Okay.
ready? You ready?
That's what
Yes,
that
she
means.
does.
Well, that was our fourth word. How y'all feel? Was that fun for y'all?
It was
That
fun.
was.
I love the collectiveness of it.
Yes.
Yes. Group
And
work. I
Y'all-
love it.
Listen, I really just thought of another when you said that song hit you like you really felt that when you was a kid. That reminded me of "And It Kills Me" by Melanie. And I was like, me.
Mm.
Retro,
Melanie
retro,
Fiona.
retro.
That's
Yeah.
real.
Yes.
Look, hold on. Let's talk about that. You got Mary J. Blige, Melanie Fiona. What's the song for you, MB?
Oh shoot, you put me on the spot. And you not don't be remembering song titles like that. I just know like the little hooks of the songs. I don't know what's for you.
The singer hook.
Okay, for me it's Sunshine Anderson.
Oh,
I don't know if y'all remember that song. Shoot, let me
Heard it all before.
Yes,
yeah,
heard it
yeah,
all
yeah,
before.
yeah.
Yes, that was my song.
All of
I
your
was like,
sweet talk.
oh, I didn't even have no dude at that point, but I said, I wish he would. I wish he would.
Right. The lyrics don't need to represent my reality, but I feel them.
I'll
Felt
say the
it.
artist for me, not a specific
Okay.
song, but Monica all the way around.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I understand that. I
I
understand.
could
After
just
the
feel like I could
storm,
relate. So
after the storm album.
yes,
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
but
Yeah,
not a
yes,
specific song
yeah,
for me.
yeah. Monica. And see, each of those women sings their songs with so much passion. Like they are true artists. So I think that's what really get us, especially if you're like, I'm an empath. I will claim it. As much as I be struggling sometimes, I'm an empath. So if you're singing something with passion, if I've never gone through it, I'm going through it with you.
Right, you can feel it. Mhm.
That's every Jasmine Sullivan song.
Oh, girl. Yeah,
That's another good one.
Because I know I would really never in real life. However, I would do it with you. When Jazz is on, we doing this together. We are doing this together. But I'm glad y'all enjoyed the game.
Yes.
And I think this is actually a pretty good segue into our discussion. We talked about especially empathy and just empathy, period. I think that's going to be very significant to the conversation today because a lot of what we're going to discuss starts with that. And I know for Mandisa and I, one of our last episodes, we talked about burnout and how it's affecting our lives and how it's very present, but then also how it's okay to rest and kind of get back to yourself in order to just go back to the world or go back into the world restored and refreshed. And for me, at least, for like a new like, I want to use the word belt, but like a new plate of creativity, basically. I'll put it on a plate.
Right.
Mandy likes stuff like that, but I'll put it connected to the food. I'll put a plate. Creativity is presented to you on a new plate. But I also wanted to bring up, one of your last episodes, you guys were talking about celebrating small wins, which is, I think, is very important. And sometimes it is hard to do when you're in that state of burnout, when you're in that state of like procrastination. So tell our audience a little bit more about how that discussion went for you all. And I'm looking at your quote behind you. Yeah, which I think of course connects to success is a series of small wins. So yeah, we want to hear more about how that connects with you all and how the episode went for you.
Yeah, the crazy thing is all of our episode topics that we do, we get inspired by conversations we're already having, or maybe like conversations we see on social. Just something will pop up and it'll be like, that'll be a great or dope topic to talk about. But the small wins thing came about because it was Juneteenth. And a lot of people were torn about like, hey, is this something we really should, be happy about? Or is this something that we should be like, well, there's so much work that still needs to be done. And both spaces were correct. Yes, we should. It's both things were happening at the same time. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And this wasn't really, in a sense, wasn't really moving the needle forward much. But also, I mean, it's a thing that we should kind of celebrate. It brings more awareness to Juneteenth because there's a lot of people, like, I honestly didn't learn about Juneteenth until I went to college. Like, I'm from Kentucky. A lot of people in Kentucky, when I was younger, we didn't celebrate it. We may have heard about it, but it wasn't something that was on our forefront. So that's where the episodes like came from, but it evolved so much when we started to talk about celebrating small wins. Like we talked about, you know, like in work, and like you're working toward like this big goal, but there's so many other things that you're achieving in between. And it's like, are you taking the moments to celebrate those? And I think that goes back into you guys' topic with burnout, because it's like there's this big goal at the top and we're just continuing to, you know, move through the steps and the motions and go through everything to get to this, but that's going to take a lot of time to get to that. Whereas like there are things in between that can keep you motivated when you celebrate those. There are things in between that, you know, you can just take a moment to breathe and just, you know, be aware and be in the moment, like instead of just always pushing, you know, the needle forward to that big win that you want, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I feel like what we really came to realize on that whole episode is that we have an expectation for ourselves. And sometimes that expectation is for us to really accomplish that ahead of time, ahead of the speed. But literally nothing happens on our time. Everything is God's speed. You know what I'm saying? And it's really when everything, all the elements are aligned, when things are supposed to happen. And sometimes I feel like we get burnt out is because we are so impatient. We want everything now, today.
That instant gratification.
That way. Exactly.
Instant gratification. Right, right.
That is real. And if we don't want it right away, somebody else will want it from us right away. And
right.
Being in a society, we talked about this, and living in a society, living in the States where you know, they glorify no days off, right? We glorify the hustler's life and all this stuff, but it's like, no, sis, bruh, king, queen, we need some days off, and that's actually more beneficial. You know, so and feeling guilty, that's a very real thing. And the times when we are being intentional with resting, guilt will come up because of how we've been conditioned, or because of when we're scrolling, we see everybody that's, you know, doing all the things, and again telling us no days off, that life and all that good stuff. But it's like, no, you can't, you really can't do that. That's not realistic.
Right. That's not, oh yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. That it's not realistic. And I'm such a physical communicator. MB, when you were going like the goal is here, and you know, the angle, the journey is this way, and it's this, you know, the visual of a linear journey to get to the goal, to get to the mountaintop. And that took me back to like hiking. Yeah, I'm in LA, I'm in Southern California. I hike all the time. And for anybody who's ever been hiking, it is very rarely, I can't tell you that I've ever taken a straight shot all the way up to the top. There's switchbacks, there's inclines and declines along the way. And so for like nature, let nature be the teacher in that life is a series of ups and downs and going back and forth and around, but you still gonna get to the top. You're still gonna get to that view, that peak, that point of I made it.
And I think all of us probably have a lot of personal, you know, stories related to that, in the sense that I can think of, I previously worked in higher ed, and I really thought that was going to be my end all be all. I had gotten my master's in higher ed, and I was like, you know what? I love what I'm doing. I really feel like I'm helping students. And that's what any career field or any path that I choose, I want to help someone. I want to feel like I'm making some sort of impact. So I felt like I was making an impact, but I was getting that burnout. We had a lot of turnover in my department. So just because someone wasn't filling that role didn't mean that the job still didn't have to be done. So it was that mentality of no days off. We have to get this done. Move-ins coming in. We're planning 6 months in advance, but also doing our own jobs. So it really took me taking a back from everything and really focusing more on what was important to me. Because again, I couldn't see the bigger picture. There was something bigger out there for me. And when I ended up leaving higher ed, it was such a shock to me, because I thought it was going to be my end all be all. But leaving higher ed, I've told this on our podcast before, I had a year off where I did not work, mainly because it was the pandemic. I moved to a new city. I didn't have a lot of connections in the city that I moved to. So between those two things, like, it was hard for me to find work, but that was meant to happen, because when you create space, I heard someone say this the other day, and I'm not going to quote them exactly right, but it's so powerful. I know who it was. Tabitha Brown. Tabitha Brown said this. It is so powerful when you can create space to be creative. Like, you have to have that space. If you're working, not to say people shouldn't work a 9 to 5, because if you should, and you can, and you know, it's great. You can do both if you want to. But I know me personally, when I was working in higher ed 9 to 5, I didn't have time to create that space, because I was always worried about, you know, what's next? What else do I have to do with this job? So when I took that year off, I created space to open all of this up. That's when I was able to do certain things like connect with you guys and collaborate with you guys and podcasting and all of that. Like, I would have never dreamt or thought about that while still working me personally, my regular 9 to 5. So yeah, burnout's a real thing, but you know, you have to create that space as well.
And I also love that you mentioned, you know, that moving to a new city and kind of a reset and time to look at the bigger picture for yourself came with or coincided with the pandemic, which I think for a lot of people was a little bit of a serendipitous thing. It was something that I think so many people really needed to pump the brakes. And COVID-19 said, here you go, get out the car. For you know, for the good and bad that it came with and that we're still going through. Yeah, for me also, I was out of work for at least a year. I work in theater. As our listeners know, I'm a stage manager by passion, and my work involves, you know, being at work 6 days a week, sometimes for really long days. And being out of work was very jarring at first, but like when the amount of sleep that I caught up on, I got to pivot and dig into like web development and things like that, and then kind of experience the city of LA in a different way. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like you found a way to celebrate small wins.
Yes, indeed.
Learn your thing about that. Yes. Which I'm really interested to know, like, what are you all's process of celebrating small wins? Because I know for me, it's a process to even sit down and recognize that, you know, there are even things to celebrate. Like, it takes a lot for me to, as much as I do too, which is the crazy part, like I do a lot of things and I have to have people tell me what the hell I'm doing for me to even realize, oh yeah, that is something that I'm doing. Like, oh yeah, you're right about that. But so I know for me, that's where the process has started before, of like just people telling me like, no, this is what's happening. You're doing these things. This is something you should celebrate. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. However, that's not something that I know I should always depend on. Like, I really should create the space to do that for myself. So that process for me looks like, that's a part of my, like when I meditate, you know, that's a part of my meditation. It's just thinking, going back and finding what I've done with others, thinking about other people who I've, you know, surrounded myself with, and just showing a great amount of gratitude in that moment. And then later on expressing it, you know, even Mandisa knows, like I'll send a random text just like, oh my God, I just love you. Just want to say thank you so much because I love you. Da, da, da. Just out of nowhere. But that's, you know, for me, that's a win. That's something to acknowledge and celebrate. So I'm interested to know about you all though. What are your processes to celebrate those small wins?
The crazy thing is, Micaiah and I, we did that the other day. We record on the weekend, and we legit just did what you did. You gave your co-host praise. You know, we praise each other, and I feel like that's a part of the small wins as well, is making sure that you recognize your friends when they're on this journey and throughout this journey, to say, hey, I see and recognize what you're doing. Keep going, stay focused. And I know when MB first started becoming the podcast, at first she was like, girl, I ain't get no views. You know, no one's really paying attention. And I already told her, this is my thing. You have to speak life into your friends. And I believe in that to the fullest. And what did I tell you, MB? Do you remember what I told you? I said, just watch. I said, you're going to get big. You're going to get big. Just wait on it. Wait on it. Be patient. Stay with it. And you have to speak life into, look, I'm telling y'all, everybody needs that in their life. If you don't got no friend or no family member that's doing it, let them people go and get you some new ones. And that's 100. I'm just being 100 with
That
y'all.
whole part.
I'm telling y'all. But also I just believe in taking time for you. That really helped me throughout this journey. I just got done getting my master's in working full time. I was coaching with the basketball team. Look, thank you. But Cynthia knows I barely had a break. I would lose my little marbles sometimes. I'd be like, girl, I'm so busy. I don't even got time to sleep. But I learned, especially again, coronavirus really helped me to sit down and to really focus on Janelle and what Janelle liked to do, what Janelle wanted to do. And throughout that opportunity, even with finishing up my master's program and still working full time, I was taking a little time out for me. One thing you guys know, look, I love to do makeup, but I also like to paint and especially do like graffiti art and things like that. And so I was able to really get to my niche again. And that's what really helped me to get into makeup is the craft whole thing, the aspect of that. And so look, I'm gonna use the word in the sentence. Serendipity is the unplanned fortunate discovery. And I was able to discover my passion of being artistic all over again throughout coronavirus. So just taking that time out to really explore and really loving what you do all over again and finding yourself throughout this journey is also needed. You need a breather. Walk away from it for not for a week, y'all. But walk away for like 2 hours or so. Regroup and then come back to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna play a little bit off what Janelle said. I have two things, but I'll be quick with them. So my first one is just to piggyback off what she said. I always, when I feel like I've achieved something or made a small win on my way to my bigger wins, I definitely schedule a night out. It doesn't matter what it may be. I'm going out with my girls. I'm getting a drink. I'm getting cute. It may be, I'm not even doing any of that. I'm sitting at home having some, good old food, binge watching some series on Netflix. And that's all it has to be, just relaxing, unwinding, and not focusing on, what that goal is or what that dream is. And then the second one for me, one of my big goals for this year is I'm trying to get back to a healthy, weight for me, being healthy in general, having more energy. So I literally, as I achieve those like small goals, so as I lose 5 pounds, so I lose 10 pounds, I have like a thermometer that I drew on my board, and I literally just shaded it. And I get to do like a little cute little party dance like right after and just be happy about that. And I can see it as I'm walking past every day. It's like right in front of my bedroom. So as I walk past, I see that, okay, I achieved that. I'm making strides. I'm acknowledging that I'm making those small steps, because a lot of these things that we want to achieve is not easy. Some people think we are crazy for having the dream in the first place because they visually can't see it, but you can visually see it. So just taking those small times to reward yourself, whatever that may be.
Preach, girl, preach.
For real. That is real. That's really real about the vision part. And then, and a part of what will keep us from getting burned out is letting go of the mindset or thinking that we have the responsibility to get someone to see our vision. If you don't see it, you don't see it.
Yep. Preach. And let me just tell you, sometimes it's better, MB, we talked about this in a previous episode, I believe. Nobody knew MB was getting her real estate license. Nobody knew that. Sometimes it's very important to hide your vision or what you're working on until it's fully there, fully developed, already in the works. You get what I'm saying? Or after. Mm-hmm. Let me just say that. Until it's, what is it? Intuition, like when it's fully all the way there. That's when you tell people
until you bring it into fruition.
Yes, thank you. Gotcha. And because if you don't, people they're gonna throw things at it. They're gonna kill your dream. They're gonna kill your vision. And you gotta remember, you got haters. Your haters could be hell, your mama. I mean, I'm being for real. I'm just speaking facts, y'all. A hater is a hater at the end of the day. They're gonna be like, oh, you can't do that. well, right now, that's just not the time for that industry. They're gonna really say some things that you're gonna be like, damn, I'm bummed. But no, sometimes you just gotta wait. Don't tell nobody what you're working on. If it's just between you and your husband, like Auntie Tabitha said, sometimes it's just between you and your husband. Don't let nobody else know what you got going on.
Yeah, that's real. Because
Drop mic.
Right? Boom. Physically, like in real life. Poof. No, but that's real, because what I'll say to that is even we can have haters, even if they don't realize that that's what they're doing, because we have a lot of people who want to give feedback about things or want to be so involved in a conversation about something that you've never even done for yourself, that you talking about an industry that you're not even physically in. So that to me, that's been really a boundary that I've set for myself, is I just choose not to have certain conversations with certain people, because if you've never had to market a product, if you've never had to market yourself to a certain capacity, if you've never done those things, then how are you telling somebody what they should or should not do? And you may have good intentions, you may mean well, but we need to do well. You feel me? You smell me? So so I know for me, that's what, and I'm actually going to connect that to burnout, and even connect that to a way that I will eventually, find ways to give myself grace. But it's like, when we get in all this kind of feedback, and we're we want to, don't get me wrong, feedback is great. Like, please don't forget to rate and review this podcast, this episode. So do that at livingmillennialproductions.com or wherever you listen to your podcast. But so don't get me wrong, feedback is great. I like it. However, know so much about yourself. I think I've said this on the show before, but know this so much about yourself and your vision to understand how much feedback is really for you, right? Or what is really for you, and what is somebody probably just projecting, just like bringing up Tabitha and Wendy was doing all that projecting, talking about Tabitha's decision to retire her husband, and her projections and her assumptions were paired with her own personal experiences. Well, the fact that it's very clear that Tabitha and Wendy are two completely different people, and they're in two completely different relationships, or one of them was in a completely different relationship. So how you feel and you putting the time on what something's going to work, that feedback is invalid, and is very vapid at that. So Tabitha gave a beautiful explanation. Or a beautiful response, to feedback. And that was, I hope you find what I have. Boom. And and what did she do in that moment? She gave grace.
Y'all speaking, and I'm imagining like mics are just dropping, like not even the one that we all have in front, just like multiple mics are being dropped. I also I also just want to say, and yet another serendipitous moment just this morning, and yet let me add another tally by my name. And just this morning, I watched a snippet of an interview of with Will Smith, and he was saying how self-esteem, we all have self-esteem in varying degrees and amounts, but so often we look to others to validate our self-esteem. And when you ladies were talking about how others can bring you down and whatnot, that immediately came to mind. And also bring just how you were talking about giving ourselves grace when either too much feedback or the wrong or negative feedback comes into our space. I'm wondering how that pans out when we get too hard on ourselves. What does that look like for each of you? Because we talked earlier about wanting to speed to a deadline. What does that look like when we feel like we've missed steps, or when we fall short of our goals? What specific things do you do to give yourselves grace and allow yourself the time to get back up on the horse?
Okay, I'm going first.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I feel like everybody has to realize, well, this is one thing I really look into. You have to crawl before you can walk, walk before you can run. Just knowing what I'm able to do and what I'm not able to do. That's one thing for sure. Because if you don't know what you're doing, of course you're gonna mess up everything else. You get what I'm saying? So it's like making sure that I'm on top of my P's and Q's and hey, if I need to work on something a little bit more, then I'm gonna work on that. I'm not gonna rush through just so I can be like, oh, boom, I made it and ain't shit right. You get what I'm saying? So that's one thing. But then number two is you have to know your self-worth. Really, you really do have to know your self-worth because if you don't, throughout this journey, you're gonna be like, oh, well, they didn't see me, they didn't acknowledge me, or I feel less than because I'm not up here with so and so. Because sometimes you can start comparing yourself, and there's no need for you to compare when you are already great. You get what I'm saying? And whatever you're destined for, you're gonna reach. So there's no need for comparison. There's no need for settling for less than. Look, Envy knows. Like my friend knows. I'd be like, girl, this dude said whoop 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 whoop. But this dude, no, I am not the one, boo. I am not the one for you. Okay.
Period.
Period. And this is one thing you have to acknowledge your self-worth and be like, man, I ain't gonna accept that. I'm great. And whatever you got going or whatever you feel like towards me, that's okay. That's your persona. That's your view of me. I don't care. I could care less. But I know for me and myself, what I'm capable of, what I'm worthy of, all of that.
Yes. Yes, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't walk out of the womb as this like super confident person. Like, I just know everything about me. I know what I'm gonna do. I just exude this in life. Like it took work, like to get here. And I'm one of those people, I think our last episode, Janelle was, giving me my flowers and, telling me some things she really liked about me. We had talked about like what we thought of each other when we first met. And she brought up something and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. She said I'm very thorough as a person throughout like everything. So I'm one of those people like when someone's doing something and like other people aren't recognizing, no, I recognize all that. I'm peeping everything. And I do the same thing with myself. I'm very like I try to assess situations. So if I make a misstep or I fall short of a goal, like I'm gonna take the moment to assess. Yes, I'm gonna be down on myself for a little bit, but to be honest, like I've gotten to that point. Like I said, it took work, but I've gotten to that point where I'm like, I know what I'm capable of. I know that if Bobby and Sue down the street can do this, what makes it mean I can't do it? I can definitely do it. Like I can put in the energy, the time, I can have the resources. I just have to, make that happen. So it's like, how do I do that? What missteps did I make? Assessing all of that. And I also believe like you learn through every situation you've ever been in. So if you haven't learned something through it, you haven't processed the situation, you're not going to be able to move on from the situation. Like you have to figure out what is the lesson in that. So yeah.
Yes, I'm over here like screaming on mute. Yes. Assessing and oh my gosh, I got so excited. I just forgot the words that you just said. Oh my god. So I got overwhelmed. Yes, learning through every situation because of assessing, which sometimes brings into a little bit of a comparison either with yourself or external forces. But doing two things within that, saying using that as a motivating factor and saying, I know I can do it. If they can do it, I know I can. And regardless, I know I can. But also taking the time to assess, to know your own progress. I think that's so important. And that's within any lane that you're in life. Just this morning, like taking an assessment of your own finances, like do that weekly. Whatever goals and steps that you have, how do you know you're making progress if you're not checking yourself? And I think Brittany, you and I were talking about this early on in our friendship about accountability and sharing sharing your goals and your aspirations with your friends, especially I view your close friends and family, your support system. I believe that they are a true mirror of yourself. And Janelle, you earlier said speak life into your friends, and your friends should do that for you also. And to have a support system where you know you can go to these people and say, okay, these are my goals. Like, hey, friend, I need you to remind me in a month. However, you know to remind me, put it in your calendar, whatever, write a sticky note on your wall. Help me stay on track with my goals. And whether that works for you or you do prefer a singular lane, I think that's so helpful to really utilize your own support system. That's what people are there for. We're not meant to go at this life alone. Humans are meant for companionship and to uplift each other. And I'm looking at my Zoom screen right now, just of like the us pairs of co-hosts, and how I think we've all spoken on how we uplift each other, not only as co-hosts and when the record button is on, but as friends in real life. And I think that's so important. That's a form of love. And if you don't have love and show love for your friends and your family, then like what you doing?
Right. That brings up a serendipitous. I use my word finally. Serendipitous moment when you were talking about, supporting your friends and, sharing your dreams, and then also what, Janelle had brought up earlier. When I first started our podcast, it actually wasn't a podcast. We were just on YouTube. We were just doing episodes with just some of my friends would come by. We would just discuss certain issues. Like, it wasn't anything formal at all. But I was talking to Janelle, and I was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, I didn't even like formally invite her originally. It was more like she had reached out to me and she was like, hey, I see you're doing your podcast. You're doing great. She had been on a few episodes, and she was like, I'm thinking about starting something too. And what she literally said was what the direction I wanted to take the podcast in. And I was like, it only makes sense. Like, we have this connection. We can talk about personal moments. And I was like, that's only like, it's so rare you can find a friend that you can be friends with, but you can also do business with. And that's just amazing in itself. So I just wanted to talk about that moment as well. Like, it's definitely important. Like, if you have a friend that you truly believe is your friend, talk about your goals with them. Like, have them hype you, whether you want to achieve the same thing or not, have them as people, your hype men. Like, they're going to hype you up. They're going to talk to you about they're going to talk to their friends about what you're doing. They're going to support you on a whole nother level. So yeah.
And let me just say this, girl, without even knowing, I told 4 people today about the podcast. You get what I'm saying? And it wasn't like, oh, come see us or whatever. But, I was just talking and I was like, well, we talked about this on this episode. You should go take a look, or something like that. It was more like that, especially when you're talking about young women, and especially the teenagers who are just now about to go to college, and they're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And, I'm just like, here, just go to the podcast, listen to it, and look, it will bless your life. But then I was just thinking about, it's very important to have people who set you straight. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. Thank God for the friends that I do have who will check me when I'm wrong. And they're not afraid to check me when I'm wrong. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes I can be very stubborn. Envy knows I can be stubborn as I don't know what sometimes, okay? But I thank God for having friends and family who will check me. And they don't gotta be nice, nasty with it. They just like, ma'am, I need you to go check that again. And then you come back and you let me know what you did wrong. Or, yo, sis, I hate to break it to you, but you was wrong. You need to go and apologize. And sometimes you need that accountability in that aspect. So you can be like, you know what? I can't act like I'm a boss lady, or I'm that, that bad girl, and I can't even go apologize when I know I was in the wrong. So thank you for always correcting me when when I am wrong, and guiding me. That's what friends do too. They're going to guide you the right way. You don't want no friends who are going to guide you the wrong way. You want somebody who's going to politely push you on that path and be like, go back. Or you need to do a U-turn. You got off on the wrong exit. That's what you need. That's what you really need.
Yeah, and to wrap it back around, you're outside of your friends like Chucky, your friends are gonna help you with grace as well. Like when you fall short and you really feel like you've fallen on hard times, you don't know what's next, you don't know what direction you can go into, like usually it's a friend that's going to help, that's going to pick you up, lift you up, like sis, it wasn't that bad. Like let's figure out what's our next step is. Like let me help you, let me support you in this journey. So yeah, your friends are definitely, and I definitely, Janelle, I always tell you, we friends like that. We right here with it. So yeah.
I love that. And here's the thing, that's everything this podcast is about. That's everything that Living Millennial is about. We're about accountability. We're about friendship and fellowship. And we're very much about self-awareness. Because if you don't carry a certain level of self-awareness and a certain consciousness of yourself, then you may not be able to give the feedback or help hold your friends accountable, as will really be helpful for them. So those things are very, very important. Because we gonna have our people that want to check us and want to tell us all these things about ourselves. But then sometimes you got your friends who you'd be like, do you have the tools to give me that? Do I want to pull a tool out of your toolbox? Because yikes. So I think it's a beautiful thing that we're all in a place right now where we know exactly what those kind of friendships look like, and we carry those for ourselves. We do that for ourselves, we do that for others. Because I totally agree. I know when it comes to grace, I've learned a significant amount from my close friends now. And when it comes to accountability and having hard conversations, I learned that the most from my friends, from my girlfriends, from my Black queens. Let me be very clear on who it is I'm talking to and I'm talking about. But it's for my queens, my millennials. We are having these real and hard conversations, which is exactly very similar to UMB, which is what inspired the podcast, because we don't hear these conversations on the mainstream, right? On these main podcasts, on these main radio shows. A lot of their perspectives on things that are trending, like Tabitha and Wendy, are just opposite of what conversations we're having in real life. So how can you say you represent a culture and you don't necessarily have a high level of diversity when it comes to the perspectives of folks? So I just love that we on the same page. We all have the same goals and the same motives, even when it comes to friendships. And I'm curious though too about, so we mentioned goals quite a bit. And I do want to hear everyone's steps to getting to those goals and how we find grace in between those steps too. But definitely, like when we have our list of goals and tasks that we have to take care of to even get there, how do we use that, or how do we use those tasks to help meet our bigger goals? Or how do we prioritize? That's what I mean. That's the real question. How do we prioritize? What steps do we take to prioritize our goals?
Yeah. First of all, I want to highlight how important it is to prioritize, because you can get so scrambled. Like I'll say me for an example. I used to not be the most organized person. Like it's like I knew what I needed to get done, but there were so many other like distracting outside factors that would come in. I have to do those. And then, there's these things over here that I need to get done. Those are some things I want to get done. So when you don't prioritize, you get really misaligned with what, that end goal is in at the end. Like you have to prioritize to get to that. So I think steps that I personally use, is really just, keeping myself organized is a big one. I literally have, all of my calendars on my phone. So I have multiple calendars only because, I have my personal calendar, I have my real estate work related calendar, and then I just have like a shared calendar, me and my husband, of like events or like couples or outings that we're going. So I literally have all three of those on my phone so I can keep up with dates and times so I don't overbook, because I will definitely overbook myself and try to be in two places at once, and there's only one me, so it's not happening. So yeah, definitely that. Definitely, I think another thing that kind of helps me with prioritizing is if I can ask someone for help specifically for something that I know that they're good at. Because sometimes we ask people for help and it's not their ministry, it's not their calling, they're not going to be able to achieve it. They may really want to help you, but it's just not in their skill set or their wheelhouse. So I definitely, if there's something I need to do, a great example is I edit all of our podcast, videos. So if Janelle needs to edit anything, sometimes she does like, videos for work, for her school, and they'll have it like at, assemblies or whatever. Girls coming to me because I can definitely do it real quick if I need to, like to help her out. So I'm helping my sis out because I know she needs to get it done. Let me put these videos together, put some words in, put a little music behind it, and shoot it off right to her real quick because it's in my wheelhouse to do. So I definitely think those are things that I use to kind of prioritize some of my goals. And then also, like we talked earlier, just assessing, like what is the most important thing that needs to get done? What is time sensitive? What needs to be completed in, the most timely fashion, and then going from that list, like going down my list with those things. But overall, like little steps in between to give myself grace. Really, like, I mean, we've kind of already talked about it a little bit. Like you really have to just be, because you're not going to always get it right. Like no one's perfect. And it's like, I know there are perfectionists that are out there. I'm personally not one of them because I'm learning every day. I'm working on being the best version of me. I'm not working on being the best version of Janelle. I'm not working on being the best version of Brittany or Mandisa. I'm working on being the best version of MB, and that's it. So if I fall short, I got to pick myself back up. Yes, I can have a pity party for a little bit because, you have to allow yourself, but just a little bit. I can have a little pity party, but I'm not going on days like, this happened and I can't get anything else done. No, life moves on whether I'm moving along with it or not. So those are just my spills.
I love that. Preach. Yes, right, Queen? Preach. I love that. And you know what's funny? So I already see like you have a good 3 affirmations that I can see behind you, right, MB? Which is, I'm very much a person of affirmations. I have a whole separate brand that focuses on that, right? But I wanted to ask, like, how many planners or calendars did you have? And I wanted to ask, like, I feel like you got all the notebooks and all the things that, you got to it's something easy to grab real quick to write it down. I could already sense that. So you listed all your calendars. I'm not surprised.
Girl, yes. Earlier on in the episode when I introduced myself, I said I'm like the mom of the group, but there's a reason why I say that. Not because I have old ways or thinking, but I'm one of the, and Janelle can speak to this a little bit. I don't want to say I'm the most prepared out of my friends, but I'm I'm the one that, I got it. Like if you need it, if there's something you left at home, I got it. I'm the one planning the trips. Like I keep a list, like affirmations behind me. I have a whole mantra that I read in the morning. I probably have 5 notebooks. So I'm really just like, I just feel like me personally, and everyone's very different. And I love because I don't bring everything to the table. I'm at the table, but I don't bring everything to the table. Like I need people here at the table with me. But I know that what I bring to the table, and it's definitely like that organized, like these are the steps that need to be completed. I may not be able to complete all of them, but I know in my mind, this is what needs to happen. So how are we going to divvy this up together?
I'm curious about the notebooks too. I'm like, you do bullet journal, you got dot journal and graph paper. What you doing? I'm also hearing stage manager qualities. I'm like, you want to work on the show?
Oh my God, I love that. What about you, Janelle? How are you prioritizing your tasks and your goals, Queen?
I feel like we are kind of the same, me and MB. MB is the planner, you guys. If I am planning a trip, if I say, hey, MB, we're going here, MB is going to be the person looking up the hotel. She's going to be doing this, doing that. I'm going to be the voice behind it. I'm going to be like, okay, no problem. I'm going to shoot this message to everybody. Whoop, 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 I got it down. That's my role. Because MB knows I have no problem talking what I need to say. Or, well, I said talking what I need to say. Saying what I need to say. Y'all get it. But one thing about me is I write it down. I'm a writer just like MB. I have 1,000,002 calendars. I got one right here in this room. I got one on the phone. When I get to work, I have another calendar. And you write it down. That's number one. But then you speak it. Anything you're working on or anything you want to accomplish, you speak it out loud. And when you speak it out loud, it's all about the manifestation of it happening. When I say I speak life into my friends, I mean that. I speak that. You get what I'm saying? Because I want it to happen. And it's going to happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen. That's God's, that's God's job. I don't do God's job. But I did my job of speaking it. You get what I'm saying? For it to happen and for it to manifest. And my thing is sometimes we forget that we still have to do the work. Faith without works is dead. So we can't forget to do the work. So say for instance, I went back for my master's degree. If I didn't do the work or turning in assignments, hell, I ain't get no degree. Simple as that. So you have to do what you're supposed to do in order to get what you're trying to obtain. So that's that's number 3. Number 4 is I always have this motto: lack of preparation leads to failure. Anything I am going after, I'm going to prepare myself for. And I tell my students this all the time. How can you prepare to get a decent education if you don't have the resources that you need? There's no reason for you to have $200 Jordans, a whole Nike outfit, but you don't have a dollar pencil to write what you need in this classroom. And I get it. Not everybody is fortunate enough or have the resources for it. But what I'm saying is the lack of preparation, you're going to come into my classroom and expect me to give you a decent education and you don't have the basic resources that you need. And thank God I'm a good teacher where I offer all that resources, but you get my drift of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So just making sure that you're prepared for what you're asking for or what you're asking to receive or what you're going after. You have to be prepared for it. If I'm a rapper, I'm gonna make sure I have a good manager. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna make sure I'm doing all the bookings and the shows that I need to get my name out there. I'm gonna make sure we have a YouTube, a Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, whatever I need to build my fan base. I'm gonna make sure I have it. So it's all about preparing yourself, being organized. Oh, that's so huge. Thank you, MB. And sometimes MB will shoot me a reminder. Thank God for friends who send reminders. Because sometimes
Okay.
I'll be like, girl, I was lost in my own little world. Thank you. So having somebody who can really just sometimes give you that reminder. Sometimes it's not always MB. My mom is another person. My mom would be like, girl, when you supposed to be so and so? And I'd be like, dang, you right. Let me go do what I'm supposed to do, you know? So just making sure you have some type of teamwork. Not everything you can accomplish on your own. And I might have got my degree by myself, but it was other people helping me along the way. And I never forget to thank those people. Because MB knows. When I was in school, I had a whole bunch on my plate with the school. I was on a grant, and MB, she helped me do a video in reference to that grant for our school. And I had to do a whole video. And MB, thank God for MB, she did all the editing for me, y'all. All the editing. My friend stayed up. Yeah, she stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning working with me on these edits. So
That's a real one.
yes. So like I say, when I say I give my friends the flowers, because thank you, girl. I wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for her. So I thank God for my team. Like I don't have a big team, but thank God for the 5 people that I do have.
And that's where it counts right there. You don't need 20, 30 people. I tell you, I can't keep up with them. And I can barely keep up with them friends. Pretty to tell you. I be taking so long to get back to you, but you know it's coming. It's coming. I got you. I also wanna point out one thing that you said because it reminded me of a quote that tying into what you tell your students and being in the role of a teacher, which is also a mix of so many other different roles. I was raised by teachers, by educators. And one of my college professors and mentors, Corthell Clark, always used to tell us, among other things, success is when opportunity meets preparedness. And it's not about luck. Sometimes you do wind up in these serendipitous situations, but it's really about the door. It could be unlocked before you even get there, but you need to be prepared to open it and walk through that and step confidently into that. So I love that you said that under the guise of being a teacher and that nurturing quality. And also you reminded me of, we've been talking so much about support circles and that reminded me of a quote, and I might have said it on a previous episode recently. but it's from the show that I just did in Baltimore. And a line from the play is "Nobody rises by themselves," and the playwright is Charlene Woodard. And I love that so much because it's true. No matter who you are, you don't get anywhere without a helping hand.
Yes. And as you said that, I'm like looking over because again, I have affirmations all over the place. And I wrote this on here forever ago, but I have this little small chalkboard and it says, "We rise by lifting others." And that's been on there for years, but that's a real thing. And that just goes to show too, we're talking about goals and we're talking about small wins or wins as a whole. And our support system is significant to all of that stuff because you are absolutely right. We can't do anything. We can't do many things by ourselves. And particularly as Black women, who are celebrated the most when we're independent and you know what I'm saying, and we're doing all these things and who always are given the stamp, whether we want it or not, given the stamp to be like strong Black women, that again leads to like this idea of independence. But it's like, but that's not the reality. Is we do so much better when we work together. The reality is, you know, we have to get out of our way, out of our own way, and not asking for help and not asking for support. And yeah, I just think that's very important. And I think that could be honestly connected to what my answer is like, you know, take a back seat and kind of what you were saying, Janelle, and realize like who can help and who can't help, you know, who has strengths where. And then sometimes we might roll with some people who have the strengths in these areas that you know that they're rocking with, but they may not have the time or the availability to kind of give to you. But that's cool. That's okay. Show them a little bit of grace. That might be your time to step back and say, okay, how can I? Right. And then for me, I have to remind myself all the time to just be still. Because I want to go, 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 go. I want to Mandisa know that she cracked it up because I'm like, ugh. I'll be talking about one goal and then all of a sudden talk about another goal and then figure out how to connect that so that like everything just grows. But it's like, Brittany, slow down. You gotta have friends to tell you to slow down, right? Give you the space to talk, but be like, okay, girl, slow down. And that's, you know, that's how I am best supported, is like when folks are trying to bring me back down a little bit, ground me a little bit, say, hey queen, like slow down. We you know, we got this going on. This is a beautiful thing. This is working out. We can do these things. However, you know, take a moment to be still and goddamn and focus. Shit. And focus with all the
That's
organization,
real.
all the things. Yeah. And because we can be as organized, like I said, I have all the calendars and all the things too, and all the Google Docs and Airtable and all this stuff and everything to be excited about. But you know, sometimes I have to have a moment to just be still, and realize that everything doesn't have to go, 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 go. And even in that moment too, I'm showing so much gratitude for what has been, right? What we have done together. And yeah, and then that kind of boosts up a little bit more motivation. That might add, you know, that might spark more ideas too, but just write it down, put it aside, and focus on and focus on other things. But I love that we have so much to say about the people who support us. That is very, very significant, and how we move and shake in the world, regardless of what the goal is, even if it's something that's just for ourselves, physically, mentally, whatever it is, our support system is very, very important.
Brittany, can I talk about just one thing real quick that kind of ties into what you were mentioning?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of ties into support system, but also ties into, you know, giving yourself grace as well. So first of all, I want to say I thank God every day for the parents that He provided me with, because they truly prepared me to take on this part of my life and to continue on this journey called life. For example, when I was young, and I didn't realize this until I got older, when I was young, my parents put a lot of quotes around my room. Like there was literally a painting in my room that was a beautiful like sunset. And I would always look at the sunset, but there was words at the bottom. There was success written big, but there was a quote at the bottom that was, success, it is not the position you stand, but the direction in which you look. And that stuck with me so much through life. Literally, if you can find my yearbook, it's my senior quote that I used. And I literally use it on everything. I think we've used it as a quote on one of our podcast episodes because it's really what I stand by, in the sense of, like, we all want to achieve some form of success, however we may see that, but it's not really whether you're at the top of the mountain or not. It's like, are you making those small steps in strides? Are you still looking toward that goal? Because a lot of us, when we don't achieve it so quick, we're like, let's move on to the next thing. That's not going to work. Obviously, we can't achieve that. So it's like making sure you're giving yourself grace because you're still looking at that goal, whether you have those missteps in between or not.
And B, we're going to echo this because I said this in a previous podcast. Don't look back. Don't look back at your previous mistakes. Don't look back at what didn't happen, who didn't come through. Don't look back on none of that. Because if you do, you're going to focus on it, you're going to dwell on it, and you're not going to keep going in the order that you're supposed to go. And that's key. I'm not saying don't forget what you learned or that lesson. Don't forget that. But what I'm saying is don't look back and stay there in that place. Because we're all on a journey, and your journey is a constant journey. You're not just gonna stay at one stop and that's it. As soon as you get done with one journey, God got another journey for you lined up. You just don't know it yet. And so I told MB that. MB, I was like, girl, I just got done with this degree, but I'm gonna go back to school. MB looked at me like I was crazy as hell. She did. But I knew then, I was like, this ain't the last journey. God had already said this is the next thing. So I gotta continue going. And don't look back, don't limit yourself. Just keep going. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. But that's the thing though. I thank God for instilling me parents who showed me the good qualities to look for in a good friend, for one, but then to also show me what success and perseverance looks like too. And let me tell you about my father. My father is an old school man. My daddy knocking on 70, y'all. He had me late, okay? But one thing about my dad is that he worked to see my dream come true. So no matter what I needed throughout college life, I didn't have to worry because dad's gonna come through. And then the Heavenly Father's gonna come through too. So I thank God for both of them. Because and my mother will say it too. She's like, girl, you lucky, I love you. You know what I'm saying? But that's what parents do. They sacrifice for their kids and the upbringing that we had. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be here today and be as successful if it wasn't for them. I'm telling you, thank God for parents and seeing your dreams, seeing your vision. And they saw this before I came out the womb. So thank God for it. Thank God for it.
Say that.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
real.
Yes, indeed.
I love everything about this conversation. And I love that the premise of the conversation is just to focus and be open.
Mm-hmm.
And be intentional with who you surround yourself with. Because beautiful things come out of that, including 2 podcasts.
Amen.
Amen. So thank you all so much for joining us. We're gonna have I'm gonna throw in a quick question of the week this week. And we're not going to answer it. We don't have to answer it. If you guys want to, you can. But I definitely want the audience to get a hold of this question, and feel free to answer this at livingmillennialproductions.com or find us at Living Millennial Productions on Instagram and let us know what your answer is. But the question of the week this week is, when was the last time you did something that scared you, and how did it turn out? I love this question. Mandisa brought this to us the other day, and I was shooketh because I was like, oh, girl, that's deep. That is something to really sit on. So, and yeah, and I've been sitting on that for a good minute. Yes, it's a great question. I've been sitting on that for a great minute. And honestly, I think that's something to even put in for those of us who do journal prompts and, all that stuff, especially during the full moons. And, we make that a whole ritual. Hold on to that question continuously. That's not a question that we can answer one time and we will always have the same answer. It may very well, we always have different answers for it. So wherever you are listening, watching us, let us know what your answer is. Ladies, I appreciate y'all so much. This is great. This has been beautiful. Yeah. And please let our audience know where they can find you, where they can listen to you, where they can connect with you all as well.
Thank you so much for having us. We definitely had fun. I think I could speak for both of us when we say that. Like, this conversation was it was so needed, and it was just great to get it all out and like just, collaborate and talk with you guys, like two just, podcasts out here doing it, focusing on millennials, but helping everybody. So we definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to answer that question on you guys' website. It's livingmillennialproductions.com. Perfect. Yes, look at me. So we'll definitely go answer that question over there, and then we'll actually talk about it probably on our next episode because you guys have inspired us as well. So we'll continue the conversation. But you can find us anywhere podcasts are streamed. We are becoming the podcast. And then also we're on YouTube as well. So we do have some video components to our podcast. If you go on over to the I'm Just MB page, you can find us on YouTube, and we have all of our podcast episodes as video as well as audio. But literally anywhere podcast, so whether it's Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those others that are out there, you can find us. And if you want to follow me personally, again, I am a realtor and I love to help people achieve their dreams in whatever facet that may be. So whether you want to buy a house or just become more informed about the home buying process, would love to talk to you guys. So you can DM me as well on IG at I'm Just MB. So try to keep it pretty much the same.
Yes, MB, yes. I ain't gonna lie. I wrote in the chat. That was a great question. And yeah, I will definitely be answering that on the podcast. You can follow me at Beautiful J. That is on Instagram. Again, I'm pretty much like MB. I'm the silent person, I think, on Instagram. I don't post as much, but I am there. If you DM me, I will respond back probably within the next 20 to 30 minutes. I'll be on there, but again, I'm a silent person. Okay, you will not see me, but I'm there. So if you want to follow me at Beautiful J on Instagram, you can do that. That is BEYOUTIFULJ.
Whoop, whoop. Well, thank y'all so much. I'm definitely interested to know what y'all answers are, so I will be looking out for it, as well as looking out for the next podcast episode so I can hurry from my sheriff. But yeah, so again, thank you so much. You all know, the audience knows where to find us. If you don't, if you're new, look for us at, again, livingmillennialproductions.com. On Instagram, Living Millennial Productions, Facebook, Living Millennial Productions as well. And we got anything else, girl? That's it. That's all. YouTube. That's
it. Oh, you weren't talking to me. Never mind.
No, I was.
Oh.
Look at us.
No, you good. You're good.
No, I think that is everything. So thank y'all so much for listening. Catch us next time. This is Living Millennial.
Hey,
that was really, really good, girl. I liked it. I really.
We are living millennial. Oh, ba 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 ba.
All right, friends, that's our show. Tune in next time.
Hey, more to come.
More to come.
Be sure to subscribe to our show, follow us on IG, and tell us what you think.